Kate.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media.
Yay!
Yeah! As you will notice, it's just Kate and I. We're missing our usual third guest.
Yeah, her.
Yeah, Laura is usually in our Disney chats.
She is. I don't know that she's watched this one yet, actually.
Has she not watched
I don't
Encanto?
think so.
Well,
I could be wrong. Laura, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Laura,
immediately.
we know you're listening. We know you're listening with your beautiful baby girl that you just had. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Everybody. Congratulations.
She is objectively the cutest baby on earth.
Absolutely agree. Not even a question.
No contest.
Absolutely zero. None.
We're not biased at all.
Of course not. What? Us? Yeah, so Laura, we miss you, but also maybe you need to watch Encanto, okay?
With your baby.
With your baby. This is a great movie for all, including babies.
Yes.
Yes. Get them started on that Lin-Manuel Miranda music.
Yeah.
Early.
We don't talk about Bruno stuck in your head right now.
Right now. Like, get on it because it really helps in child development.
Have we said what we're talking about yet?
We're talking about Encanto.
Yay!
So, Kate and I will do our best without our fearless feminist leader, Laura. And I'm sure she would have great things to say in that respect if she saw this film.
Yeah.
And wanted to talk about it. But with that being said, Encanto is a Disney film, if you don't already know. If you've been living under a rock the last year.
Right. It kind of exploded everywhere.
It exploded all over the freaking place. It is just, it's gotten my hair a little bit. I had to scrub the floor for a week. But a lot of it, I left on the walls because I need that little reminder of like Encanto, filling my life and my space.
Yeah.
And it is musical animated film, music by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's supreme.
Yes,
Yeah.
we stand in this house.
We stand hard.
Yeah.
And it follows the Madrigals, a family who all have special abilities given to them by a miracle, as they say, which is the visual representation is a candle, and so when the candle burns bright, their powers shine, or whatever. And they live in this house. This miracle kind of created a house for them, and they all live there, and
the house doesn't talk but is alive.
It's alive.
It's alive.
Communicates.
Yes.
Non-verbally, and that is very fun. And so you've got this big extended family all living together in this beautiful, gorgeous place that is representative of Colombia and all of Colombian culture, and it's gorgeous and beautiful and fantastic. And our main protagonist, Mirabelle, who is spunky and cute and energetic and so extremely positive. And she is the only one in her family who doesn't have a power, a magical gift. And she finds that the miracle is waning, and so it's her adventure to fix the miracle and save the family and save the miracle, and it's great. And of course there's a whole bunch of the fun songs all in there and great music, and it's good. So that's basic synopsis. If you haven't seen it, that's what we're working with here. Kate, when was the first time you watched this, and what's been your experience with this film, both watching the film and also just your experience with it on the internet? Because I feel like that's going to be a lot of this conversation.
That is a big part of this conversation, I feel.
Because if you don't know, the soundtrack for Encanto, even the most famous song, I would argue, we don't talk about Bruno, has surpassed Let It Go
Yeah.
in terms
of like everything.
Everything. So it is the like biggest single to ever come out of a Disney musical movie. So it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I am on TikTok, so I still hear it quite often.
Yeah.
Which some days I'm like, yeah, I can get into this, and other days I'm like, please, any other song. Any other song. But okay, so Encanto, I rewatching this last night. I regret not seeing it in theaters because it is just such, the colors are so vibrant, the design of the world and just the world building itself in the film are just so beautiful, and I like kind of wish I could have, you know, when it actually was out in theaters, I wish I actually had taken the time and spent the money and gone and seen it on a big screen. That being said, it did not detract from my viewing of the film. I think I watched it sometime in that week between Christmas and New Year's last year, since it was on Disney Plus. And at that point, there had been enough word of mouth about the movie and enough stuff on the internet about the movie that I was like, okay, I actually like, it's not just another Disney movie that I'm like, oh, a new Disney movie came out, I'll get to that. Like, I was like, okay, it's time to watch this one. And it only had been out for like maybe a month at that point, or, you know, maybe a little longer. But, and I think the first viewing that I had, I think my main memory of it was that I started crying about 20 minutes into the movie.
Aww.
In the scene, so the scene in the story, so we are introduced to Mirabelle. We learn about the family in that first song, and then we learn that she does not have any powers of her own. The miracle did not work with her. But the setup for the story is that her youngest cousin, is it Antonio, is that his name? Mm-hmm. Who is so adorable. One of the best characters in the movie.
So true.
It's his turn to receive his miracle, and everyone's kind of panicking about it. And so we get to the scene in the movie where the ceremony is happening, and everyone in town is there. The whole family is up. The kind of concept is that there's like a magical door that appears, and they open it, and that's how they receive their powers. And so the whole town is there, his family is there waiting for him to kind of walk down the aisle in this ceremony, and Mirabelle is kind of standing back in the shadows. Yes. And he turns to her and reaches out his hand, and he wants her to come with him. And that's when I started crying, and I didn't stop crying until the movie was over. That first time I watched it, that was a long-winded explanation of that. But that was just kind of my experience watching this movie, is like just kind of going with Mirabelle along in her journey and relating to so much of her feelings and her experiences within her family structure. And I know I've talked to a lot of other friends as well who just watched this movie and were like, oh my gosh, this is my experience too within my family structure. And so, yeah, I watched it and just was so emotional and really loved it. And I rewatched it last night for just the second time only. Cried less, but still felt a lot of the emotions and joy and sorrow that kind of come with this movie. So. Absolutely.
And you touched on, honestly, one of the things that I think makes this film as great as it is, and it's Mirabelle. Mm-hmm. And we'll definitely talk more deeply about her in a minute, but she really is a protagonist you can so easily get behind and want to go on this journey with her. Mm-hmm. And as well as the relatability of all of the issues that this family has, and how they really dig deep into that. And it's let's talk about interpersonal relationships, everyone.
All wrapped up in a kids movie. It's not a kids movie.
Kids with quotes. But yeah, I had a little bit different of an experience. I did see this movie in theaters when it came out. I think I saw it the first weekend, which you might not seem that surprising since I do watch a lot of animation, but genuinely, I think that was the first time I'd been so hype for a movie in a little while. It obviously, and I hadn't been to the theater much before that with things going on. AKA the world. But I remember actually seeing it in theaters and enjoying myself, but not having a deep like connection to it immediately. I was just kind of like, wow, you know, obviously great animation, great music, really well put together. I didn't have the heart connection to it. And so actually, like, I did a bonus episode on Patreon talking about Encanto a little bit, and I basically was assuming I would never talk about it on the in depth on the podcast here, but here we are, because I've seen it several times since, and I feel like each time I see it, I get more attached. And I cried more. As well as, like, for me, a really big part of my experience with media in general, but especially all of the animation that we talk about, one really big part is my connection to the fandom or the energy of people online. And it was almost because of the hype online that I gave it a second chance and like gave it more time, and like the excitement that I was seeing from like kids and from, you know, just like singers on TikTok or whoever, right? Like I was like, yeah, this is so cool. Like I love what this movie has like secondhand created through like the people who are fans of it. That's just like one of the, you know, still shining lights of the internet. There are a couple of them, and this is one of them, like seeing like people's enthusiasm for a piece of media and have them make stuff of their own. So so for me, yeah, that was kind of like a big catalyst for enjoying the film more. And yeah, like I really enjoy seeing the hype.
Can I ask you, so you said kind of going into it you had certain expectations about it. What was your kind of whether it being like seeing the trailer or seeing stuff online before the movie came out, what was your exposure beforehand? Because I didn't know anything. I think I had seen the teaser trailer when it came out, like because didn't they release one like before the pandemic?
Yes.
Because it was supposed to come out sooner.
Yes.
And so I think I had seen that, but didn't really get any context for the story. And then once it came out and I saw all this stuff about it online after people were going and seeing it and loving it, that's kind of what piqued my interest. So I'm just curious what your experience leading up to seeing it was.
Absolutely. So like having seen the trailers and things, having seen a little bit like of extra like discussion about it online, stuff like that, I guess for me it was kind of like the biggest draw, I think, is that like this was the same year, I think, as Raya and the Last Dragon that came out earlier last year.
Well, didn't that come out at the beginning of 2020?
No, Raya and the Last Dragon came out March of 2021. And then
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What is time,
what is
friends?
Time? We don't know. And then Encanto was November of 2020.
Okay.
And I guess for me, and we've talked about Raya and the Last Dragon on the podcast. Go check out that episode. I definitely did enjoy it, but that one did not meet my expectations. And I guess throughout like the year, I kept hoping on Encanto to be the Disney movie that I would, like the animated movie that I was going to really enjoy of the year. Basically, I wanted Encanto to be my movie of the year. Did it become my movie of the year in 2021? No. Has it become my movie of the year? Yes. Like,
what was your movie of the year for 2021?
That is an excellent
You probably talked
question.
about it on the podcast here.
Well, here's the thing: is last year we didn't do an animation review. We did an anime review.
Oh, right.
But I did make my list anyway. So let me search my documents.
Yes, we love an organized queen.
Thank you. I've got to stay organized if I've got to do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
So I even made an entire list of my 2021 animated year in review that never turned into anything.
Okay.
Because we never did the podcast. But new movies, I had, Demon Slayer, Mugen Train.
Never saw it.
That was my movie of the year in 2021. If anyone was wondering. I think I put Luca right after that.
Oh, see, Luca was the one, that was the one that was like, I was a little disappointed by that one. But that's a different discussion. I liked it. We don't have to keep this in
We
here.
don't have to go like down that rabbit hole.
You can also listen to our episode on Luca.
But I did really enjoy it.
It was good. I just didn't love it the way that I love Encanto.
That's the thing, right? It's like you had an immediate emotional connection to Encanto.
Yes.
Whereas my immediate emotional connection was Luca.
Yeah.
Like I had more of that connection immediately, and
that's so interesting to me.
Isn't that weird?
I just feel like you're very Mirabelle in real life.
Thank you
and
so much.
so I feel like watching it, I was like, oh, I bet Kelly really just like connected with this.
I do connect with Mirabelle a lot, like more, like so much, and it's not just the short curly hair
or the glasses.
Can
I just say, this is like a total tangent, but since we're talking about the glasses, I love that we have her in glasses because as a child growing up, particularly doing theater, I was always told that like get contacts because leading ladies don't wear glasses, which is wrong.
Very wrong.
But also we love a leading lady in glasses.
Yes, absolutely.
She's so cute. Also, I read, this is a fun fact about the movie that I read, and maybe you read this too. So in the lead up to, this is a total tangent, I'm so sorry. In the lead up,
tangents on this podcast.
I know we do. In the lead up to in the pre-production process, many people of the production team or the creative team, including Lin-Manuel Miranda, took a trip to Colombia just to get some inspiration, do a little bit of research on the culture and the vibe and the history and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And they had a tour guide that went through some of these cities with them. And they ended up hiring her on as a technical consultant, and she also heavily inspired Mirabelle's look.
Oh my goodness, so
cute.
The
curly hair and the glasses came from the inspiration of this tour guide that they had as they went through the cities, which is pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good fun fact. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
So glasses.
Glasses. But yeah, let's talk about Mirabelle because she really is what pulls me into the story, and everyone, like, let's be real, she's the audience connection, she's the protagonist, and she's such she's just such a bright light, and like you just want, she's a great protagonist, because I've said this before, but it's like the cinnamon roll that you want ever just to protect and love, and wants everything, you want to root for them. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to root for Mirabelle. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just full in, like, I want to go on this adventure with her, and of course, yes, I relate to and appreciate her positivity and energy. Mm-hmm. But like, even one of the things for me, at least, that's like really stands out is just how like she keeps fighting for her family regardless. Like when I originally watched the film, a little ways in, Antonio gets his magical ability, and Mirabelle sings her song about like basically her I want song of like everything, like she wants to be a part of this. And for me, watching this and not, before knowing anything, I thought this was going to be the turning point where she leaves the family.
Yes.
And like in a traditional, hero's journey story, and oh my gosh, we're totally just going to like dive into this because like it could completely upends the hero's journey in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But like this would be the point where your protagonist then goes out into the world to go on their adventure, learn their thing, become the new person before coming back to the home. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, this is the catalyst. She, like, all of these things are happening. Everyone's like disregarding her. Everyone has like swept her under the rug. They don't want her to help with the party. She's ruined the party with her seeing the house fall apart, whatever. And I was like, this is it. This is the point where I would leave. And she doesn't.
Yeah, she stays.
She stays, and like every single time she runs into an obstacle with her family, she continues to stay, which I think is one of her best qualities, is just her dedication, I guess. Like her absolute, complete and utter love of her family and just admiration of them. And is it a little bit unhealthy? Yes.
I really... I don't know what this says about me, but I really connect to Mirabel on that level.
Yeah.
She is just someone who, she loves her family so much, and she holds onto them as an anchor so tightly and has so much love to give.
Yeah.
And even in the times that they're, brushing her off or disregarding her, she just, like, clings to that anchor so tightly. And like that well of love for her family just doesn't run out. And even in the times when she, even towards the end of the film, when she does kind of eventually run off because she feels like she's ruined everything, like I'm so, like, I feel like I kind of relate to that on a personal level. I like really hold very tightly to my friends and my family and those relationships, almost to a fault. And so there were elements of like watching her story unfold that I'm like, this is my story. Yes. In a way, except I don't have like a literal house that's falling apart. Right. But yeah. And I think it's so funny. I think, well, we can talk about it later, but I've seen so much stuff on the internet of people being like, Mirabel has middle kid energy, which she does, but she's the youngest in her family.
She does.
And I feel like actually her and Louisa, because isn't Louisa supposed to be the middle daughter?
I thought she was the eldest. Is she not? Is she the middle? Oh no.
Oh, who's the other sister? The flower child. I thought she was
Isabella.
The oldest. Isabella. I thought Isabella was the oldest, Louisa was the middle, and
okay.
Mirabel.
Isabella is 21. Mirabel is 15. Where is Louisa on my list?
Because I feel like Louisa actually has really younger...
Louisa is the middle and
I feel like she has 19. Younger child energy.
Oh.
Because she's just like... well, we can talk about Louisa later, but... I feel like Mirabel and Louisa have like...
switched roles.
Mirabel
has middle child energy, but also like she still has like a younger cousin. So, like, she's in the middle of the mix of cousins. And they all kind of live together as siblings. So, maybe that's kind of where that's coming from.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Well, I'll say this. One more thing about Mirabel. Like, for me, the biggest part of her story that I relate to is, of course, her relationship with her sisters. And her relationship with Isabella, especially. Because Isabella is... So going into Isabella a little bit, her magical abilities, like she creates flowers, and like she's perfect. Hard stop.
Hard stop.
She's just the graceful, supposedly, perfect or whatever, just outwardly like the most pristine person, right? And then you have Mirabel next to her, right, who is a complete like walking disaster. So of course they clash a lot. And one of the things I appreciate the most is that like listen, I love Frozen. Frozen's great. I also have my problems with Frozen. You can go listen to our Frozen episodes about Frozen. But the Frozen sister relationship is too perfect.
Yeah.
It does not as believable.
Yes.
Frozen, the sister energy is just too fairy tale perfect. That's what it is.
Yes, yeah.
And this movie is like, we know sisters. We get sisters. This is the right sister energy. Yeah. Okay? Like, Isabella and Mirabel at each other a little bit, and a lot of it. And, Mirabel is ruining everything, but not really. And Isabella is hiding her feelings, you know, like, and just trying to put on face, right? And even when the first time I watched it, like, this was the one part that really stuck with me the most, is when, like, you know, jumping way ahead, like, Mirabelle finds out that, like, the thing that she can do to help fix the miracle is, like, embrace Isabella. And, like, she's talking with Bruno and is like, what if she doesn't reciprocate? What if she does this or does that or whatever? Like, I don't want to go talk to her because she, you know, she's just going to act this way. And Bruno is like, wait, you're missing the point. It's not up to her to save the magic. It's up to you. And I was like, mic drop, dude. Because, like, you don't know how people are going to react to your actions, right? But it's up to you to try, you know? And it's just like, you know, I am the middle of 3 sisters. So, you know, like, I have this energy a lot, and I have the older sister. It's very similar relationship, right? And it truly is, like, I think that's just such a positive, like, a positive story to tell, is that, like, you just have to make the first step. And does it go perfectly? No! But it works out because they're able to, like, see things about themselves and each other that opens up this new world for them and opens up a new part of themselves. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the movie is the song with Isabella and Mirabelle, and, like, Isabella discovering she can be more than just this pretty perfect person, and that Mirabelle is finally, like, and she's finally, you know, Isabella's finally opening it up to Mirabelle too. So that's, like, my big, just, like, dump of all of this information and all of my feelings about the Isabella and Mirabelle relationship.
That's also one of my favorite sequences of the movie, just animation wise.
Yes.
The design and the colors and the, you know, I'm sure people who are nerdy about plants can talk a whole lot about that sequence and talk about the different varieties and variations they have. But visually, it's just so stunning. That was kind of one of the things as I was watching last night, being like, oh, I wish I'd seen this on the big screen. That would have been really cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so good. And that song is What Else Can I Do? And, like, I want to take this moment too, while we're talking about that scene, to compare it to Luisa's song, Surface Pressure.
Yes.
Which, Surface Pressure is one of the best songs on the soundtrack.
I love that song.
Like, let's be real. Luisa, everyone loves Luisa. Luisa's power is she's strong. She's just, like, super strength, right? And her song is all about, like, I have, you know, she's, like, pretending everything's fine, and but she's, like, balancing all of this stuff, and she gets so much is put on her that she, like, you know, the metaphorical, like, she can't lift it all, right? And it's a fantastic song. I think I like it musically more than What Else Can I Do?
Me too.
But one of my critiques of this film is Surface Pressure in particular, because I am not a fan of, and I think animation does this a lot. It's not just this movie, but it just stood out in a stark way in this film. Is Surface Pressure does the thing where they sing the song in La La Land.
Yes.
So instead of using the beautiful, gorgeous, colorful surroundings of the Colombian landscape, they bring you into their subconscious, where they're on Mount Everest or, like, falling off a cliff, or there's Hercules, and you know what I mean? Like, it's all these fantastical things, and they're riding on donkeys through the clouds. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not a fan of that way to board a song in an animated film.
It feels like a little like we're stepping out of the story into a music video.
Yes. And but you can, like, compare that to What Else Can I Do? Where instead of, like, it still could feel like a music video maybe, but they're doing it with the surroundings of Isabella's room.
And, like, at the end, the family kind of sees all of this unfolding,
Yes.
and Abuela is really mad, and like seeing all. So it's like happening in real time within the story, but it's still visually really beautiful.
Yes, and I appreciate that 10 million times more. And they're using the scenery they have in place to do all those fun visual things. I mean, especially when you have a magic house that can do whatever it wants. Why are you bringing us into the subconscious world?
Right.
Like, especially because it's so early in the movie, like, it immediately was just like, it threw me out because I was like, I'm so excited to be in this new place, in this beautiful village, and then you're not letting me see more of it. Like, like for me, that was like, that's one of the, it might seem like a small thing, but for me, it was like one of the biggest things that I was like, I want less of this. Yeah.
Didn't they kind of do something similar with You're Welcome in Moana?
Yes.
That's I mean, with Lin-Manuel writing both scores for both films, I feel like there's just like a lot of natural comparison between the two.
Right.
And because they're both, films within recent years, but that I feel like I've seen a lot of comparisons between those two songs just in general, but also like watching it just like naturally kind of comes to mind.
That's another good example of that, like going into this like other world. They're, it's all just in their heads. But even again, like it's very common in animation, and even going back to like Aladdin, right? Like the genie comes out, and then it's like this whole fantastical thing. Yeah. But it makes sense because he's a genie and he's making it all happen. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Versus like we're just in our heads. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense.
But what a cool mindscape.
I know. Right. Great. Don't get me wrong. Surface Pressure is one of the best songs.
It's so good.
It's just visually, I just really wanted, that was one thing I definitely wanted to touch on. But they're the sisters. Yeah. We've got a lot
can I just say, I'm like really obsessed with that voice actress that voices Louisa. I just think it's so,
Jessica Darrow.
Yes. I love her tonal quality, and I love that they didn't just... I feel like the voice casting in this film in particular is so specific, and I feel like they just got across the board everyone so right. Like, just even comparing and contrasting the vocal quality between Louisa and Isabella, and like Isabella just is, kind of has a very like naturally feminine voice, or like traditionally feminine voice, whereas Louisa kind of has like a lower register, and I'm obsessed with Stephanie Beatrice too. She's just so fantastic. I love her in everything I've ever seen her in. But I love the like between the three sisters, I love the kind of comparison and contrasting, and like as soon as you hear them speak, you kind of know what their deal is, which is, voice actors are great.
So good. Oh my goodness.
Props to them.
Props to them. Props to everyone in this movie. Really quick, because we spent a lot of time talking about the three sisters. We do have lots of other characters in this show. Obviously, it's about the whole family, right? So we have the grandmother, Abuela. Then there are, Mirabelle's parents. Her mom can cook food, and then that food heals you. So she's got the healing touch. Her aunt can control the weather with her emotions, and then her uncle, Bruno, can see the future. And then we have her cousins. Antonio, we've mentioned, the 5-year-old, can talk to animals. We have Camilo, who can shapeshift to other people. We never see him shapeshift into like animals or anything. Just people.
Yeah, just people.
Just people.
Dolores,
that's it.
She can hear
everything. A pin drop from a mile away. She can hear everything. And so that was really quick. That's all the other.
They're the cousins.
All the other members of the household and all that. Mm-hmm. So of all of the other characters, since we don't have time to like delve deep into everyone, And maybe we'll save our favorite for the end.
Okay.
Because I know who our favorite is.
I know who your favorite is, but my favorite's a little different.
Is your favorite different than mine?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, who's your favorite?
I don't know. I don't have a favorite. I was actually thinking about this today because I was like, oh, I love so many of the characters. If I had, oh gosh.
Okay, well, I'll say that, like, obviously we've already talked about Mirabelle. Mirabelle's the best.
Yeah.
But Bruno's the best.
I think if I had to choose, I really love Dolores. I think Dolores is so cute.
She's super cute. I love in the dinner scene where it's like she knows and she can't keep a secret.
I love that, like, her, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this. I feel like the way that they developed her character, keeping in mind that she has, like, supersonic sound, the development, or I shouldn't say development of her character, her characterization is just slightly different from everybody else. She's still, but I love that because she's, like, a little bit quieter. She just, like, naturally kind of holds herself a little bit. She's a little more anxious than everyone in the family because I think, you know, she hears everything at all times, right? So she has, like, a little more anxiety. She's a little more introverted, a little more withdrawn. But she also just has, like, a very, like, I like her energy. She's got good energy. She has, like, very kind of perky energy that fits well within the family.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I wonder,
I just really like her character.
Overanalyzing this character a little bit, I wonder, like, I can imagine at least, that having a power that isn't as flashy or showy as a lot of the others, maybe, like, contributes or comes from her shyness. And, like, you know, she doesn't take up a lot of space. And she is very quiet. Yeah. You know, because she's just sitting back and listening on everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that is yeah, that's a really good point. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah,
I just like her. She's a cool character.
She's so cool. I love her.
I feel like we get to learn a little bit more about her specifically than we do necessarily some of the other cousins or, like, her parents.
I would agree. Yeah, because besides the sisters, because they each get their own song. Dolores, for sure. I mean, Antonio a little bit, too. You know, I feel like Camilo doesn't get as much screen time at all. Like, I feel like I don't know anything about him.
Other than he's kind of a little mischievous.
Yeah, a little mischievous.
I will also say, this viewing, I paid a little more attention to the parents, or, like, Mirabelle's parents, and I love them. They're very so
sweet. Cute.
They're very sweet.
I love them.
They're very supportive parents.
They are, and, like, her mom continues, because, okay, spoiler alert, Abuela is kind of the antagonist, not antagonist.
Yeah.
Because she's, like, causing a lot of the family tension. And Mirabelle's mom continuously stands up for Mirabelle and is like, you're being too hard on her, you need to stop. You know, and I'm like, thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
I'm always here for positive mother representation in animation. Thank you.
Not every girl always fights with her mother.
Yes. Yes. Listen, hey, you know, it happens, but, like, also, that doesn't have to be every single story about mothers and daughters. They can be cute, like Mirabelle and her mom.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute.
You can talk about Bruno now.
Okay, thanks.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno. That's my favorite thing in the whole entire movie, is that they're like, we don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. But let's sing about Bruno because we have so much to say about Bruno.
Also, this is my other favorite thing about the whole we don't talk about Bruno thing, is that the fact, I might be getting ahead of myself. I assume if you're listening to this, you have seen this movie, so I'm going to just go ahead and spoil everything. The fact that Dolores says at the end of the movie, I heard him the whole time, could be a plot hole, but because we have this song that established that we don't talk about Bruno at all, it's like it covers itself completely.
Oh, it does. Completely.
Because it's like, obviously if she was like, guys, I don't think he actually left, she would be immediately shut down because they're like, I'm upset, I can't talk about Bruno.
Yeah, we can't.
It's my favorite bit of the whole movie, to be honest. Because if you sit and think about it, you're like, oh, that actually makes perfect sense. That no wonder no one realized where he was this whole time, because the one person that did was like shut down.
Shut down. We do not talk about Bruno.
We do not.
We do not. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Bruno. I like from the very beginning of this film, right? They go through all of the characters in the opening number, and it's like, you know, the mysterious Bruno, right? You just like are hooked instantly, and you know, at least like I knew, like, okay, Bruno's important because it's like this big mystery, and then they eventually get to this, you know, oh, you have to find the, you know, the piece of the prophecy, right? And the song about Bruno and all these things, every single thing is just so dark and mysterious. And when she goes through her room, through his room, it's like it's probably one of the scarier parts of the film is just going to his room and like climbing up the stairs and going through the cave and whatever.
I love the stair bit.
The stair bit's hilarious.
Just so relatable. So many stairs.
So relatable. And side note about that, because that makes me think, because like there's this parrot that goes with her for a little bit, or some bird. And side note, there's no like animal sidekick in this movie. Mm-hmm. Which, listen, it's not a Disney princess movie, so it doesn't need an animal sidekick. Mm-hmm. But they missed an opportunity. Obviously, there were a lot of characters to keep track of anyway. Like, I don't know about you, but when I first watched this film, I was like, how am I going to keep everybody straight? There's so many characters to keep track of. But that's another thing, is that it ends up being totally fine. It helps that all of the families are color-coded. Yes,
I do like that.
Yeah, that's helpful. But yeah, no animal sidekick, which, again, there are enough characters to deal with, but something to note. Anyways, so Bruno, all mysterious. Who is this Bruno character? And
can I argue that the house is the animal sidekick of this movie?
Yes, you can.
I don't have anything to back up that argument.
This is opening up so many doors, pun intended.
Ooh.
I approve of this because Mirabelle is the one of the family who has the closest relationship to the house.
Right.
And communicates the most with the house. Mm-hmm. And the house is literally the center of everything. So, and is like with Mirabelle on most of her journey. So yeah, I will accept that.
Yeah.
The house is the animal sidekick. Thank you.
Except it doesn't talk, but that's okay.
Not all animal sidekicks talk.
That's
Did the chicken talk in Moana? No.
I forgot about the chicken.
I love
I was just disappointed that we didn't get more of that cute little pig.
I know.
We're not talking about Moana.
We're not talking about Moana, but I love that it's the expectation reversal of the pig is going to be the animal sidekick to the dumb chicken is the
yeah. We need to talk about Moana because I have some good Moana stories.
I would love to do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Put that on the back burner.
Okay.
Anyway, Bruno. We're getting off topic. Bruno, y'all. Yes, mysterious, scary, maybe. Who knows? Who is this Bruno? And then when you find him, I love the introduction to Bruno.
Me too.
Oh my goodness. Like, Mirabelle finds him and is chasing after him and running. And then, like, she, like, falls and Bruno comes back to grab her. And through a series of unfortunate events, Bruno falls down this hole, what you think is this really deep hole. And then he just, like, pops back up. And it's like, oh. It's just like...
She's just, like, hanging there still.
Hanging there. It's just, like, immediately, like, turns this very, like, intense chase scene into complete foolishness.
And it sets your expectations for who this character is immediately.
That
you're like, oh, he comes back to save her. Oh, he's just a big ol' oaf.
He is. He's an oaf. He's just a doofus, a lovable, ridiculous character. And then that whole scene of just like him and his sad little
and his rat
corner of the house, because you know if you don't know, he saw the prophecy about Mirabelle either being the demise of the house or the savior of the house, and was like, oh, everyone's going to think poorly of Mirabelle, so I'm leaving. Probably not a good way to deal with your issues, but as we see throughout the film, this family doesn't talk about the issues, so of course he wouldn't think that it would be okay. So instead he leaves, but he doesn't really leave. He hangs out in the walls of the house and hangs out there. And it's actually really sad because it's like he's with the family but not with the family.
Right.
And he's been there for like 10 years.
Yes.
Sad. And
also, props to him for living with rats, because I went on a walk the other day and saw a mouse and thought I was gonna expire.
Oh my gosh. No, if I see a real mouse, let alone a rat, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Nope. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I liked his version of television with the rats.
I appreciated that as well. Do you want
different
sports?
Cardboard cutouts.
Do you want a drama? It's great. I love it. So I love Bruno. I love him because he is the dork and he is just ridiculous. And then he's like, I'm not going on this adventure with you, Mirabelle. Good luck. Mm-hmm. He's just a sweet doofus, and I love him. And yeah, we don't talk about Bruno is also just a bop, okay? You cannot deny.
I don't really love the song that much.
Okay.
Is my
You're canceled.
I'm sorry. It's probably from the oversaturation.
Probably.
Also, I think the thing I love most about it is that Lin-Manuel Miranda was also surprised by the success of the song, because, you know, as a writer who is rooted in musical theater, you know, you write certain songs for certain moments, and usually it's, you know, stuff like Let It Go, the I Want songs, or the big solos, or the sweeping ballads, or whatever, that really are the things that grab the audience by the heartstrings and just move them. But for some reason, it was the giant group number that's so catchy. Like, I think you hear it one time and then it's in your head. So thanks for writing the earworm of the century, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes. But it's a great, you know, comparison, because, the group number doesn't usually get the spotlight. And in this musical, Waiting on a Miracle is one of my least favorite songs, and that's her I Want song.
No, I love that song so much. That was the song that, like, moved me to tears the first time I saw it.
I mean, like, it is, like, emotional for sure, and, I get that, but, like, as a song, it's just, like,
oh no,
I don't know. Yeah, tell me about it.
I love a ballad.
Yes.
I'm a ballad queen.
Yes, girl.
Anytime there's like an emotional slow song, it's just my jam. I just think the context for the song, and I feel like it's a very honest portrayal of her character, because like just even the way that the song starts out with her trying to be like, I'm fine, I'm not fine, I'm totally not fine. Yeah. And just the way that the song builds from there. Oh, I love it so much. It's so good.
And I will also give it the fact that, like, you know, we still have sympathy and empathy for her, even though this was probably a pretty delicate tightrope to walk of, like, her being upset, and especially, like, even she says, like, oh, I wouldn't want to like ruin Antonio's day, and it's that little moment that you said, like, her being like, I'm fine, I'm not fine, of, like, she's really trying to stay positive, and she does break down a little bit here, even with all of the positivity she has.
But that is not my favorite song.
What is your favorite song, Kate?
I'm gonna say it wrong, Dos Oruguitas.
Better than I can say.
Oh my gosh, I love that song.
But yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
That's where I cry every time.
It is so beautiful. And it's just this, like, beautiful lullaby about this butterfly. And then in contrast with what you're watching on screen, it just tears your heart out every time. But I mean, it's such a gorgeous song. And I'm a little mad at the Academy Awards for being like, let's ignore them and talk about Bruno, even though it is the far superior song, and that was the correct choice for him to submit.
Listen.
The Oscars are...
The Academy has zero
taste.
Zero taste. My beef with them has been going on for years.
Oh, so I know.
If you've listened to this podcast at all, Oscars can just go down the toilet. Thank you. The Annie Awards is where you should all be at. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, that's my favorite song, though. I love that song.
I'm so glad you mentioned, because it really is fantastic. As well as just, like, the story that is happening. You finally get Abuela's backstory, and, Abuela's able to open up, and Mirabel's... this whole movie is just about, like, communication in a family where they don't communicate. And having come from very traditional Midwestern families over here...
Same.
Communication does not happen. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about anything. We have to be the Isabellas and the Luisas and just keep up the face and keep moving, because no one's going to have a deep conversation to understand you more deeply.
That's absolutely why I relate so hard to this story, is just being a daughter in a family that is my family.
Yes.
And I won't elaborate further, but being in that position of, like, feeling all of this pressure to be a certain type of person and never feeling like I can ever live up to that is just, and I think that's a universal feeling. I don't think it just applies to, me as a woman living in the Midwest. I think it applies to so many different people. And I think that's why this movie speaks so much to people, is because it's such a simple story about family, but everybody has families that have certain backgrounds, and you can relate to struggling with your family in one way or another. So,
yes. Absolutely. Yes. And I just love this just complete disregard for the original, like, hero's journey, and it's still, I love how they're able to do it, of, like, actually staying in the house basically the whole time, of focusing on these characters. She doesn't run away. She stands and fights, and she, like, honestly, I find this so much more compelling than, like, going out and fighting a dragon, which, like, I love those sorts of stories, like, don't get me wrong, but, like, to have something that feels more fresh, of, like, no, I need to hug my sister, like, whoa, yeah, no, that is just as scary as a dragon, thank you, like, having to actually, like, try to open up and try to communicate, try to understand other people, try to have empathy, y'all, this is the story we need in our lives.
Yeah.
And again, like, it's so universal. It resonates with so many people, because there's always family expectation, whatever that is for you, and it's suffocating. It can be really suffocating. Or maybe it's the family unexpectation. What's the opposite? You know what I'm trying to say.
I guess.
Because, like, whatever your family situation is,
right?
Like, maybe it's a lack of
a lack of any kind of expectation. Yeah.
Right? Like, no matter what your family says about you, that's not you, basically. And you are more than your family, no matter what.
Right.
Granted, I think, like, in general, I am definitely more of the media consumer who wants the found family stories. But, like, how fun to actually have, like, a blood family story that turns out positive.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, they found each other and they are figuring it out, and it's messy. And they have to, like, let go of things. And they have to find new ways of doing things, right? At the end, they have to rebuild the house from scratch without the magic, right? And it's like, yes. This is I'm here for it. I'm just here for it.
And it's refreshing to see that kind of love story.
Aww.
I think we're so used to just being like, oh, well, there's got to be a romantic love story in there somewhere. And it's like, no, this is a love story about a family and about, you know, breaking those relationships down and building them back up together. And it's just so good. Can I make a mention of something?
Please.
One thing that and maybe if they'll make a sequel, maybe they'll dive into this a little more. And obviously, like, you know, you only have the confines of like 2 hours to explore certain things within the story. But I would love a little more backstory about the community as a whole, because, and I think the writers do a good job of the world building, you know, with it starting out with the prologue, and then the Family Madrigal song introduces everything. You got like a 5-minute song that introduces every single character, what their deal is, what the house is, what the community is. But I would have loved to see just like a little bit more of their interactions within the community. Yeah. And, you know, kind of getting an understanding of how does the rest of the community members feel about this family. Like, you see, you know, everybody kind of coming to the ceremony with Antonio. And so you kind of assume that they're supportive of this and that they're all in on the idea of the miracle, or have an understanding of the gift of the miracle. But it's never explored in the way that I'm like, I want to know what, you know, Joe Schmo down the road thinks about this family in the house. Like, are they friends? Do they get along? Do they not like them? Do they think they're entitled? Like,
right? Like, give me the drama,
right?
because like obviously this family is kind of the head of the village,
right? Yeah,
and it's like all about. But also, like, what about the other people who like have to deal with their shit? Like,
I know. I mean, the story is about the family. You can only tell so much within this story about the family and you can't really focus on those irrelevant details. But that's just where my brain goes.
Like, I want to know about Mateo down the street who like like every day has to deal with like I don't know, more like ridiculous Isabella flowers in his yard. Like, what's going on?
Or like, you know, are the local village boys having like weightlifting contests with Louisa? Like, what's happening?
Heck yes.
I just want to know a little bit more about the village and their community. And
that's what we want. Or like some shorts or something.
Yeah. Like Disney Plus. Let's make a series.
Oh my God.
Let's make a series.
Is this not the perfect story for a series?
Yeah.
It's the perfect setup because you have like all of these characters, you know, you have this whole like little village to explore and their whole house to explore, all these things, right? Like you have one episode, Antonio has a magical adventure with his animal friend, and the next episode is like Dolores and her weird dates, and like, you know what I mean? Yeah. That would be great.
I also think that of all of the Disney movies within the last 5 years, maybe more, this would be such a cool stage show.
Oh my goodness.
And I think they've talked about it, and I really hope that there's stuff in development from what I've read on like my nerdy theater blogs. But like,
I would absolutely die.
Of all of the stuff, I mean, I think even from like I know Frozen is a stage show, whatever. But I think even from Tangled on, like, this would be really cool. As you could imagine the stagecraft, Kelly.
I am imagining.
Oh my gosh, it would be so cool. I would pay so much money to see that.
I would. Oh my gosh, I'm just imagining just like a flouncy, flowy dresses everywhere, and they're like fun, like, oh my gosh, like just dancing everywhere.
But even just like the technical elements with, you know, transferring this like living house on stage, and the things you could do with that
would be fantastic.
Would be so
and like all the doors and stuff open automatically and stuff. Yeah. And then like Isabella's coming down from like the, you know, what's this, the above part called again?
Oh no! Why can't I think of it? The above space. They're not wings. What are they? Oh my gosh! I went to school for theater. Oh no! The rafters.
No, it's not.
They're not rafters.
There's another name for it. I'm looking it up because we're
bad theater kids.
We're bad theater kids. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
I don't know.
The fly space?
Yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking for? The fly space?
Yeah, I mean that's what you pull up.
Anyway.
Whatever.
Isabella coming down from the fly space, right?
Uh-huh.
And in a big swing or whatever,
yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
That'd be really cool.
Anyway, side note. Wow. I now very desperately want a stage version. Please and thank you, Disney. We want lots of things. We just keep asking for more and more and more.
We're just so greedy.
We're so needy. Help us out. But yeah, that would be fantastic. And I'm sure would just do absolutely fantastically. So please, please, please. Side note, I had this note because I went on a research rabbit hole about what Lin-Manuel Miranda's doing right now. Yeah. Because I just really love that we're in this Disney era of Miranda. Mm-hmm. And I love Alan Menken. Don't get me wrong, okay? I love Alan Menken.
Absolutely.
Obviously. But I like that Miranda's now the go-to guy. Yeah. And it's kind of this fun, new world, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what's he doing next? Is he working on the next thing? You know, he's also worked on Vivo, which is his animated Disney project that's on Netflix. It's really quite good. I would recommend. I never saw that. That one made me cry. Deep cry. I had a
Was it a Disney thing?
It's not Disney.
Oh.
It's his own thing.
Oh, okay. It's different.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily up to Disney standards in a lot of ways, but I for sure cried a lot. And the music's great, obviously.
I love things that make me cry.
Good. It's right there for you. And so guess what? Lin-Manuel Miranda and Alan Menken.
I think I heard about this.
Are working on the upcoming live action The Little Mermaid.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh, you already knew that?
Yeah.
I was hyping it up.
Yeah.
To be this shocking, fun, exciting thing.
Oh, I already knew that, though.
Fine.
It's The Little Mermaid, Kelly. Of course I know about it.
Of course you know about The Little Mermaid. Why? Well, yay!
Yay!
I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I feel like Aladdin is my second favorite of the live action so far. Cinderella's still the best, just being honest.
You know, I was very skeptical about Aladdin before I saw it, but I really liked Aladdin. So I feel like if they, I feel like as long as they stick to the heart of the story, I don't think that they can go wrong. Yeah. And I'm really excited that Daveed Diggs is in it.
Heck yeah. What were you going to say? Are they doing something else?
Oh, I don't know. I was just waiting for you to say something else.
Oh, okay. Nope, that's all I know. All I know is about The Little Mermaid.
I thought they were maybe working on something else. I don't know.
I don't even know really what Disney's up to nowadays, besides there's the holiday film, A Strange World, Stranger Things. Just I'm kidding.
Oh no! Let's talk about Stranger Things later, Kelly.
Oh my goodness! You should listen to our What You Watching from last.
Did you talk about Stranger Things?
Talk about Stranger Things.
I don't listen to your What You Watching.
You don't?
No, because you only talk about anime.
No. Not always. Okay. No, but this last time, Jamie and I talked about live action things for half the episode.
Okay, I will go back and listen to it because I want to hear about your...
Thanks for listening to my podcast.
I'm sorry. I do listen to it, I promise. Just not the stuff that I don't know about.
That's okay.
Which is half of the podcast.
That's the great thing about this podcast, everyone, is if you're here to talk about Disney stuff and listen to Disney stuff and you'd want to skip all the anime, totally fine with me. If you're vice versa, whatever. Yeah. You can jump around. It's great. Yeah. Anyway, so that was Encanto.
Yeah. Overall, really great.
Really
I don't think we had anything bad to say about it.
I had one small thing about the staging of the music, some of the music numbers, but
sure.
that's the worst. If that's the worst I have to say about this film, we didn't even have time to talk about the animation. But obviously, it's freaking gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Continues to amaze me every single new animated film that comes out from Disney and Pixar, because they are just the pinnacle of all technological developments. It seems at the moment. Although I will say that in the past, DreamWorks has really been up there in terms of technological development, but I feel like Disney just has the consistency factor going on. Anyway, Mirabelle's hair and the way her dress moves kind of blows my mind. Just saying.
Also, a little tidbit about some of the movement animation. One thing, if you watch, go back and rewatch We Don't Talk About Bruno, and go back and rewatch like one of her other numbers that she sings, whether it's Waiting on a Miracle or Family Madrigal, because you'll notice within We Don't Talk About Bruno, every time she interacts with different family members, she mimics their movement.
Oh,
it's really once you see it, you can't unsee it, which is really
cool.
So like every single family member has like a different verse, and she'll watch them and then she'll start copying their movement style. But when she's singing her own songs, she has her own different like freeness of movement, and it's really cool.
I love it.
She kind of like marches to her own drum, and then when she's like within the family sphere, she feels like she has to kind of copy what's going on.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's all coming together.
It's really cool.
I just love animation because again, every single like I've just said this before on the podcast, I know, like about how animation, every single moment, every single item, every single like set piece is handcrafted and with a purpose. And because of that, they're able to do like so many of those fun little things like that, where they can really just like they have the time to delve into like little details that really like just lift it up to a million levels. Anyways, I love animation. That's why we're here. Okay. So thank you so much for listening and geeking out about animation, everybody. You can hear bonus episodes and occasionally vote for upcoming topics by going to patreon.com/Fanimated. Become a member of the Fanimated crew. Thank you, everyone who supports the show. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Fanimated Podcast to stay up to date with all things animated. And please leave a rating and review. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps more people find the show. The music is written by Jamie Krause, and the art is done by myself. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. And Kate, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's so much fun to talk about Encanto. And you know what, Laura, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and maybe you'll be back for the next one.
Yes.
Yeah. In the meantime, stay tuned.
And stay animated.
I know what upstage and downstage is. Please.
Oh, good.
Help me.
That's like lesson number 1.
That's lesson number 1, but that's all this website is giving me. Okay.
You know what? To be fair, though, there are people who have been in many shows who are like, wait, which is upstage and downstage?
Oh my goodness, why is it not telling me? The apron, backstage, the rake.
Is it
stage,
just the rafters?
Shell, smoke pocket, thrust, wings. No. Front of house, we get it. We got it.
Front of house.
The fly system?
Yeah, that's what you call the where you store things.
Is that the word that I'm looking for?
The fly system, probably.
That's not what I'm looking for. What am I looking for?